Have you ever wondered why so many marriages start to lose their spark over time? Why do men, after years of devotion, begin to feel frustrated or disconnected from the woman they once adored? And why does the passion and admiration that fueled the relationship in the beginning seem to fade into a routine, leaving couples feeling distant and unfulfilled? If you've ever experienced these feelings, or if you're simply curious about the hidden dynamics behind long-term relationships, you're in the right place. In this video, we're diving deep into a critical issue that affects many marriages: how predictability and stagnation can erode admiration, respect, and emotional connection. We'll explore why relationships that start with excitement and discovery often end up in a cycle of monotony, and why this happens more often than we care to admit. But that's not all. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to prevent this decline and reignite the passion and respect in your relationship. We'll discuss practical tips for keeping admiration alive, how to break free from predictable patterns, and why personal growth, both as individuals and as a couple, is the key to a lasting and fulfilling marriage. Stay tuned, because this video will provide valuable insights into how both partners can continue to inspire each other, challenge themselves, and grow together, not just for the sake of the marriage, but for their sense of fulfillment. If you're ready to learn the secrets to keeping your relationship vibrant and meaningful, make sure you watch until the end. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. Let's take a closer, more personal look at this situation. One of the greatest silent killers of admiration in a relationship is predictability. In the beginning, there is this undeniable thrill that electrifies the air between two people. Everything is new, fresh, and full of possibility. Every conversation feels like peeling back a layer of an exciting new mystery. You're constantly discovering things about your partner, whether it's their quirks, their deepest desires, their wildest dreams, or even their smallest habits. It's this never-ending journey of learning and discovering that feeds the flame of admiration. There's an intoxicating energy in the unknown, and in this stage, you can't help but admire how complex, unique, and endlessly fascinating your partner is. But, as with all things, time tends to change everything. The very energy that was once full of wonder gradually fades into the everyday. Life settles into a rhythm, and before you know it, you're locked into a pattern. The once thrilling newness gives way to predictability. You wake up, go to work, take care of responsibilities, come home, eat, sleep, repeat. And somewhere in the midst of all that, something insidious happens. Once exciting things are now routine, and relationships can start to feel more like obligations than emotional adventures. The danger here is that when the spark fades, so does the ability to see each other as dynamic individuals. Partners stop discovering new things about each other. They start to take each other for granted, which is perhaps one of the most emotionally exhausting and heartbreaking shifts that can happen in a relationship. Psychologically speaking, humans are wired to lose interest in things that become permanent fixtures in their lives. We take for granted what we feel we possess and forget to value what we've already won. It's not just possessions or careers that lose their value over time, it's relationships, too. How many times have we heard of a man who once adored his wife for her intelligence, her wit, her energy, but after years of seeing her in the same light every day, he's now blind to those same qualities. The love he once felt for her may remain, but the admiration, that powerful force that fuels passion and respect, begins to slip through his fingers like sand. And let's not kid ourselves, the same happens for women. It's not that their husbands stop caring, but familiarity breeds a kind of emotional blindness. What once sparked admiration becomes background noise, a hum in the distance rather than the crescendo of inspiration that it once was. The psychological truth here is devastating, but it's also the reality that many couples don't want to confront. When admiration fades, Frustration steps in like an unwanted guest. When a man stops seeing his wife as someone who challenges him, who inspires him, who excites him, the relationship starts to shift. Without even realizing it, he begins to resent her. What was once a deeply cherished connection can slowly turn into an emotional burden. The vibrancy that once defined their relationship can become reduced to a dull obligation. This is when emotional withdrawal happens. When admiration dies, the conversations grow shallow, and the emotional intimacy begins to wither. The truth is, emotional distance doesn't happen overnight. It creeps in slowly, with tiny cracks in communication that widen over time. Here's the thing. The danger is not that someone's spouse changes for the worse, it's that the relationship stops evolving. Relationships, like everything else in life, need constant growth. And I don't just mean the growth that comes from raising children or managing a home. I mean personal growth, intellectual curiosity, emotional development. Without this, a relationship becomes stagnant. And stagnation is poison to admiration. I know that for a relationship to thrive and remain alive, both people must continue to evolve. They need to encourage each other to grow, not just for the sake of the relationship, but for their fulfillment. A couple should inspire each other, challenge each other, and push each other to be better. And yes, I'm not saying that growth has to be radical. Sometimes it's small changes. Sometimes it's simply trying new things together, learning something fresh, or even just being open to seeing each other through different eyes. It's about seeing your partner as more than just someone who fills a role in your life. It's about maintaining a sense of curiosity, a longing to know more, to connect on a deeper level, and to discover the person you're with all over again. The beauty of the early stages of a relationship is that it's filled with this organic growth. There's a mutual effort to learn, to share, and to build something together. It's about laying down a foundation that feels solid but also flexible. As you progress, that feeling of evolution should remain. It should be an ongoing process, whether it's through shared experiences, personal achievements, or simply growing together as partners. This kind of growth, this deepening bond, keeps admiration alive, and when admiration stays alive, so does the relationship. Unfortunately, too many people fall into the trap of simply maintaining the status quo. They stop evolving as individuals, and their relationship becomes something they just survive rather than something they thrive in. And here's the thing. Without growth, admiration fades, and with it, the very soul of the relationship. We lose respect for what we think we know. We forget that respect is not something we just give. It's something we cultivate and nurture, constantly reminding ourselves of why we fell in love in the first place. Respect is never automatic. It must be earned, day in and day out, through effort, curiosity, and the willingness to evolve. At the start of a relationship, there's something truly magical about how a man might admire his wife. He is in awe of her ambition, her creativity, her fierce passion for the things she loves. In those early years, it feels like she's this incredible force, constantly evolving, challenging herself, and keeping her world vibrant. But then, as time passes and life settles into routine, something shifts. Her once glowing spark, her drive, her hunger for growth, begins to fade into the background. She becomes absorbed in the daily grind of responsibilities, both big and small. The passion she once carried so effortlessly starts to slip away, replaced by the monotony of getting through the day. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. And as she stops pursuing the things that once set her heart on fire, her husband may begin to see her differently. Not as the woman he fell in love with, but as someone who has comfortably settled into a predictable, routine life. His admiration begins to fade, and instead of looking at her with the same awe, he starts to wonder where that woman went. And the sad reality is that this loss of admiration isn't just a one-sided thing. The same can happen to men, too. When a man stops challenging himself, when he stops setting new goals or pushing his boundaries, his wife may begin to lose respect for him. It's not that he's a bad person. It's simply that he's stopped growing, stopped evolving into a better version of himself. And when growth ceases, so does the respect that once felt so effortless. But here's the thing. The loss of admiration in a relationship isn't just about one person failing to live up to the other's expectations. It's not about pointing fingers or placing blame. It's about both individuals ceasing to nurture their growth, ceasing to invest in the very qualities that once made them both so dynamic, so inspiring to one another. In relationships, it's never just about being together. It's about being better together. When both partners stop striving to be the best version of themselves, they stop lifting each other. Instead of a partnership where two people encourage, challenge, and support each other's dreams, the relationship becomes a static, almost mechanical arrangement. Each person falls into a set role, fulfilling duties rather than igniting passion. And that stagnation, it breeds frustration, quiet, creeping, all-consuming frustration. It slowly, imperceptibly, turns into resentment. And when that happens, it's like the foundation of the relationship has cracked, and both partners are just holding on. Many couples, sadly, believe that love alone will keep their relationship intact, that it will be enough to weather the storms of time. But the harsh truth is that love without growth is nothing more than a comfortable, but ultimately hollow, existence. Love alone can't sustain a relationship indefinitely. Without growth, love becomes a stagnant pool, growing murkier with time. Relationships need more than love. They need exploration, they need curiosity, they need change. The real tragedy is when two people stop learning from each other, when they stop challenging each other to grow. When that spark of mutual inspiration dims, everything else follows. The conversations start to feel repetitive, the moments of connection feel shallow, and the once exciting, thrilling bond turns into something more like a well-worn routine. Instead of feeling like a partnership that fuels both of them, the relationship feels like an obligation, something they have to do rather than something that brings them joy. It's a quiet erosion, but it's real. And without the energy that comes from mutual progress, that relationship becomes a shadow of what it once was. To truly keep admiration alive, both partners must remain engaged in their personal development. It's so much more than just getting by. It's about passion, it's about curiosity, it's about setting goals and chasing dreams, even if it means failing along the way. A thriving relationship isn't just about maintaining a connection. It's about evolving together, supporting each other's growth, and being each other's biggest cheerleader. If one or both partners stop growing, stop reaching for something more, they risk slowly drifting apart, both physically and emotionally. A relationship isn't something to coast through. It's something to actively build, day by day, together. Without growth, there can be no deep respect, no fire, no true sense of fulfillment. As a marriage progresses, the weight of responsibilities inevitably increases. Men and women take on roles that are often shaped by societal expectations, financial pressures, and the demands of family life. In the early years, there's a sense of shared purpose, a feeling that they are building something special together. But as time passes, these roles can become unbalanced, leaving one partner feeling burdened and unappreciated. For many men, the responsibility of being the provider can become overwhelming. Whether or not both partners contribute financially, men often feel a deep, internal pressure to ensure that their families are secure. As the demands of their careers intensify and the financial burdens mount, it's easy for them to feel trapped in a cycle where their identity is solely defined by their work and their ability to provide. They sacrifice their own personal interests, passions, and even their health to meet these expectations. They tell themselves that they're doing it all for the family, that they are fulfilling their role as the provider. But deep down, they may begin to feel unseen, as if their efforts are being taken for granted. They may feel as though they are invisible, their sacrifices unnoticed, their hard work unacknowledged. On the other hand, women often carry the emotional and domestic burdens of the relationship. Many women dedicate themselves to managing the household, raising children, and making sure everything runs smoothly. Even if they work outside the home, they often shoulder the bulk of the emotional labor, remembering birthdays, planning events, maintaining social connections, and, most importantly, taking care of everyone else. But over time, this constant giving can lead to feelings of exhaustion and, worse, invisibility. Their contributions are often expected rather than appreciated. They may begin to feel as though their efforts go unnoticed, as if they are simply there to fill a role. It's a quiet kind of weariness, but it's deeply felt. It can chip away at their sense of self-worth, leaving them questioning whether all their efforts matter at all. The balance between personal fulfillment and the responsibilities that come with being a partner and parent can feel like an unending struggle. It's a delicate dance, and when that balance is disrupted, it can lead to deep emotional scars. When both partners are burdened by overwhelming responsibilities but fail to acknowledge or truly appreciate the weight each of them carries, resentment inevitably begins to build. Over time, this emotional neglect can slowly poison the very foundation of their relationship. The husband, working tirelessly day in and day out, begins to feel as if his efforts go unnoticed and unappreciated, as though he is simply a cog in the machine of daily life. He may carry a deep sense of frustration and isolation, feeling as if the gratitude and recognition he deserves are simply not forthcoming. Meanwhile, the wife, tirelessly giving and sacrificing for her family, may start to feel invisible, as though her role as the emotional anchor and caregiver is taken for granted. She feels the weight of her sacrifices but perceives that no one truly sees her struggles, leaving her emotionally exhausted, emotionally starved for appreciation, and feeling utterly alone in her efforts. This imbalance, so subtle yet deeply impactful, creates a painful divide, where both partners feel unrecognized and unloved, even though they are both doing their best to hold everything together. They become emotionally distant from each other, not because they no longer care, but because they no longer feel valued in their own right. The simple, everyday acts of love and kindness, which once flowed freely, are replaced by a painful sense of neglect. What was once a shared partnership, a beautiful union of two people working toward a common goal, begins to feel more like a contract. An unspoken, unsatisfying agreement, where the contributions of each person are expected but rarely acknowledged. The husband, in his frustration, begins to resent his wife for not recognizing the depth of his sacrifices. He feels alone in his struggle, as though no one truly understands the burden he carries. Meanwhile, the wife, tired and emotionally drained, begins to resent her husband for not recognizing the emotional toll of her caregiving. She feels like she's giving and giving without any return, and in her heart, she wonders if he still sees her as the person she once was, the passionate, vibrant woman he fell in love with, or if she is now simply a caretaker. Neither person is intentionally neglecting the other. In fact, they may love each other deeply, but the weight of their respective burdens clouds their ability to truly see each other. To prevent this heartbreaking breakdown, both partners must take a step back and actively recognize each other's contributions. They need to express gratitude for not just what is being done, but for the person behind the actions. When both partners feel truly seen and appreciated, when the love and respect for each other as individuals is restored, the dynamic of the relationship shifts from resentment to a shared space of mutual respect and understanding. That's when the love begins to heal the wounds caused by years of unnoticed sacrifice. At the heart of a thriving relationship is the ability to appreciate each other, not just for what each person does, but for who they are, for their essence. As time moves on in a marriage, as the years pass and children come and go, it's easy to lose sight of the original connection, the deep, passionate bond that brought two people together in the first place. In the beginning, a marriage is full of discovery. Each partner sees the other as a whole person, filled with dreams, desires, and potential. The connection is rich and deep, built on the shared excitement of getting to know each other. But as time goes by and life demands more work, responsibilities, family obligations, the couple begins to see each other more as roles than as people. The husband becomes the provider, and the wife, the caregiver. And suddenly, The once vibrant relationship morphs into something more structured and transactional. What once felt like a partnership full of passion and discovery now becomes a checklist of daily duties. Who's handling the bills, who's cooking dinner, who's picking up the kids. The deeper connection, the emotional, intimate connection, becomes buried under the heavy weight of routine. The husband starts seeing his wife as the caretaker of their home, as the mother of their children, and in doing so, he forgets the woman she was before. Her intelligence, her wit, her beauty, the things that first made him fall in love with her. She is no longer a person in his eyes, but a role, a function in the ongoing operation of their home. Similarly, the wife begins to see her husband only as the provider, the one who brings home the paycheck, the one who fixes the broken things. She interacts with him based on what he does rather than who he is. And it's here, in this place of mutual neglect, where emotional intimacy dies a slow death. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. This shift, though not intentional, is deeply corrosive. It erodes the foundation of admiration and respect that once existed between the two. Without realizing it, both partners begin to feel like strangers to each other. The wife feels like no one truly values her for who she is beyond her caregiving role, and the husband feels that his worth is only measured by his ability to provide. They no longer see each other with fresh eyes, and the love that once fueled them becomes drowned in the expectations and responsibilities of daily life. Appreciation becomes a thing of the past, and what's left is a painful, aching sense of being unseen and underappreciated. The once beautiful relationship is now an intricate dance of unspoken resentments, where love is no longer the driving force, it's simply an obligation. This is why it's so critical to slow down and take the time to see each other again, to truly look into each other's eyes and remember the love that brought you together. It's not enough to fulfill roles or expectations. You must see your partner as the whole person they are, and remind them every day that they are loved for who they are, not just what they do. Only then will you begin to repair the invisible cracks that have formed in your relationship, and return to the place where love is shared, not just expected. When admiration begins to fade, it doesn't happen overnight. It quietly slips away, like a slow erosion of the foundation that once supported the relationship. In its place, frustration creeps in, and what were once minor annoyances now feel like insurmountable obstacles. These small irritations grow, feeding into a deeper sense of dissatisfaction that, if left unchecked, can cloud the relationship and leave both partners feeling disconnected. At this point, it's crucial to take a step back and recognize that a relationship is not a stagnant entity. It's a living, breathing bond that requires constant nourishment. The truth is, couples must make a conscious, ongoing effort to see each other as evolving individuals rather than static partners merely fulfilling their roles. This process isn't about just maintaining the status quo. It's about thriving together as you both evolve. It means engaging in meaningful, heartfelt conversations where both partners are genuinely curious about each other's thoughts, dreams, and evolving aspirations. It requires actively supporting each other's personal growth, being a cheerleader for the person you love as they become the best version of themselves, and not simply expecting them to remain the same person you fell in love with. When you stop being curious about the person you're with, when you stop discovering new things about them and their journey, that's when the spark starts to fade. A relationship can only truly thrive when both individuals remain genuinely interested in each other's growth, not just what they contribute to the partnership or the household. Admiration, respect, and passion aren't things that can exist on their own. They require effort, intention, and continuous care. It's so easy to fall into the trap of thinking that love will naturally sustain itself. For many, this belief is a dream come true when they first fall in love, the idea that it will all just flow effortlessly. But as time passes, they begin to realize that admiration and excitement require more than just the initial spark. They require consistent effort and care to keep the fire burning. The reality is that long-term relationships demand continuous investment. But it's not just about investing in the relationship itself. It's about investing in your personal growth as well. At the beginning of a relationship, both partners are in a constant state of effort, putting their best selves forward, dressing to impress, having long, deep conversations, sharing new experiences, and truly striving to be the best versions of themselves. But as time goes on, that initial thrill can slowly give way to complacency. Without even realizing it, many couples begin to take each other for granted, thinking that the love they share will carry them through without the need for ongoing effort. They stop challenging each other, stop growing together, and before long, that sense of deep connection fades into the background. One of the most painful realities of long-term relationships is when admiration starts to slip away. A man who once saw his wife as inspiring and captivating may slowly begin to view her as just another part of the daily routine, especially if she stops growing, evolving, and striving toward her own goals. The same holds for a woman who once admired her husband's drive and ambition. If he begins to stagnate, loses his sense of purpose, or lets go of his passions, she may start to feel disappointed and disconnected. It's in these moments that the relationship begins to feel like a burden, instead of a partnership full of excitement and shared dreams. This erosion of admiration isn't the result of one big event. It's a slow, creeping shift that happens when both partners stop working toward their growth and, by extension, the growth of the relationship itself. When you stop striving to be the best version of yourself, you stop being a source of inspiration for each other. And without inspiration, without admiration, the heart of the relationship begins to wither. But perhaps one of the most damaging mistakes couples make is allowing external pressures, careers, children, finances, and daily obligations to take precedence over the relationship itself. Life gets busy, and before you know it, date nights become a rare luxury, deep and meaningful conversations are replaced with logistical check-ins, and shared activities become a distant memory. The responsibilities pile up, and the connection between partners weakens. What once was a lively, thriving bond becomes a routine, predictable and often emotionally distant. When admiration and passion are no longer actively cultivated, resentment can easily slip in. And resentment, once it takes root, can be one of the most corrosive forces in any relationship. That's why it's so important to keep working at it. A relationship will only stay alive if both partners are committed to growing, both as individuals and as a couple. This means constantly challenging yourself to improve, setting new goals, and not becoming complacent. It also means keeping the relationship fresh by surprising each other, trying new things together, and keeping that sense of curiosity and adventure alive. Life is constantly changing, and so are you and your partner. To thrive, you must grow together, not just exist side by side. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Love and admiration are not merely static emotions that exist on their own. They are living, breathing forces that thrive and evolve. They bloom when both partners are committed to growing together, continuously inspiring and encouraging one another. A relationship that stagnates, that becomes content with simply existing, cannot maintain its vibrancy. Just as a garden needs sunlight and water to flourish, love too requires constant nourishment to thrive. When both partners cease evolving, the relationship begins its inevitable decline. But when two people are continuously evolving, when they challenge each other, support one another's dreams, and inspire growth, they create a bond that becomes a source of passion, joy, and fulfillment. Too often, couples fall into the dangerous trap of believing that once love is established, it will simply endure without much effort. This misconception is not only misleading but detrimental. Love, admiration, and respect are not constants. They are delicate and ever-changing, needing continuous care and effort. Both partners must evolve, not just as a couple, but as individuals, supporting one another's journeys. This mutual evolution is the secret to a thriving relationship. The moment a relationship stops growing, it begins to wither. It's not enough for two people to simply be together. They must inspire each other to reach for greater heights, to be better versions of themselves. Relationships that endure and flourish are not those where both partners remain the same. They are the ones where each person challenges the other, pushing one another to become their best selves. One of the greatest mistakes couples make is assuming that their love will naturally sustain itself over time. We often think that once we found our soulmate, everything else will fall into place effortlessly. But this belief is flawed. True admiration is built through deliberate actions, not through mere presence. When one partner sees the other striving for self-improvement, whether it's learning new skills, pursuing passions, or taking care of their physical and mental health, respect and appreciation grow. It becomes a cycle. The more we see our partner growing, the more we are inspired to do the same. We don't love and admire them for their perfection, but for their commitment to becoming the best version of themselves. This growth fosters deeper respect, stronger emotional connection, and ultimately a more fulfilling partnership. A man who pushes himself to set goals, to challenge his limits, and to continuously grow will naturally become a source of admiration for his wife. The same is true for a woman who is dedicated to her personal growth, pursuing her dreams and nurturing her well-being. This dedication does not just build respect, it strengthens the very foundation of their relationship. But when both partners fall into complacency, when personal aspirations fade and self-growth takes a back seat, that's when the cracks begin to appear. Conversations become monotonous, curiosity about life and each other wanes, and what was once a source of excitement becomes a stagnant routine. That's when the spark starts to fade, and frustration starts to creep in. In these moments, a marriage can lose its essence. What was once a passionate partnership turns into a predictable, mundane routine. Partners stop seeing the magic in one another and instead start to view each other through the lens of familiarity. Comfort, yes, but also a sense of emotional distance. Without inspiration, a relationship becomes a series of motions, with each day blending into the next, and before long, a sense of longing creeps in. Mutual inspiration, however, isn't about competition. It's not about one partner being better than the other. It's about encouraging each other to rise to the occasion, to overcome challenges, and to build something greater together. A relationship that's rooted in mutual inspiration stays alive, vibrant, and full of possibility. It's not just about being in love, it's about growing together. And when you continue to grow, so does the love. As we wrap up today's discussion, I want you to reflect on everything we've explored about maintaining admiration and connection in relationships. It's not always easy, but with conscious effort and intentional growth, we can keep our relationships thriving. What have you learned so far? What is one key takeaway from this video that you are going to put into practice in your own life? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please comment below and share one thing you're committed to working on in your relationship. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave your comment below, and please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Your support means a lot, and we can't wait to continue this journey of growth and connection with you.